kind of being in the arena, following the fans, and watching, the trends in person. Being at
Yeah.
the arena, seeing what people are wearing, what they're buying. And following the.
What's up, everyone? My name is Danielle. I'm the CEO and co-founder of The Connect. Thank you for joining us today while I'm here with Jamal Jones for Connecting Over Coffee. Jamal is the Director of Retail for Monumental Sports and Entertainment. Jamal, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Can't complain, can't complain. All right, so first question I always have to ask everyone, since the show is called Connect Over Coffee, are you a coffee drinker or are you a tea drinker or neither?
I am a coffee drinker. I'm a big Dunkin' fan. Sometimes every now and then I try and cut back, but I always end up going back to it. So I am a coffee drinker.
All right, I'm actually a tea drinker myself. When I get in the mood, like this weather here that we have recently, I want something
Yeah.
to warm me up. We'll drink some tea. All right, so let's get started. We're gonna just do a quick 2-minute drill, rapid fire questions. I get warmed up, you get warmed up, and we'll get going from a conversation from there. So you
Okay.
ready?
Yep.
All right. Favorite sports team?
Can I pick? Do I have to pick one?
No, go
I've
ahead.
always been Cowboys and Lakers all my life, like since I was little. So those are my two teams. Shouldn't say
Interesting
that too
combo.
badly.
That's
I
an
know.
interesting combo. I get the Lakers 'cause I'm a Lakers fan myself.
Okay.
I'm an Eagles fan though, so I can't rock with you on the
Ooh,
Cowboys.
right. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a big Kobe Bryant fan, so that's why I'm a Laker fan, huge Kobe fan, and I've been a Cowboy fan since I was little and can remember and can started watching football. They were winning Super Bowls when I was younger, and so I'm hoping we get back to those glory days soon.
That makes sense. I will say I was happy Dak got his money. So
Me too.
I was
Me too.
applauding for that one.
Paying off right now.
Yes, definitely. I think you might have said it, but favorite athlete.
Yeah, definitely Kobe for
All right.
sure. He was my favorite athlete of all time. And I'm just sad situation, of course, but still inspires me to this day.
Yeah, Mamba mentality lives on forever. So
Yep.
definitely. Favorite sports movie.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Wow. I don't know. It's a toss up between a couple. One of my favorites is Blue Chips from back in the day,
Okay.
with Penny and Shaq. Another one of my favorites is Sunset Park, which is another basketball movie from way back in the day. But I'm a big sports movie fan. It's hard to pick one.
Yeah, you threw out some gems there. I've never heard of Sunset Park, so now that's on the
Oh,
list.
it's a old school one. You'll have to check it out one day.
Will do. I'm writing that one down. Now since you're in retail, have to ask: AJ ones or LeBron soldiers? Which one are you rocking with?
Definitely Jordans for sure.
Business or business casual or athleisure wear for work?
Athleisure, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm a big Nike fan.
Nike Tech Fleece all day.
Yeah, I wish I could wear it all day.
Yeah. Song that gets you hyped every time you hear it, or a song, your go-to song that gets you pumped for a meeting, game, what have you.
I'm more of a mellow type of person, more so than get pumped up, but kind of like to get in my mood and get focused. But usually if that's the case, I'm listening to J. Cole.
Okay, J. Cole. A specific J. Cole or the any J. Cole song that gets you in that nice mood there?
Um, a lot of times just kind of shuffling, but definitely, if I'm in certain moods, I'll go back to some of like the old mixtape J. Cole versus some of the more recent stuff. But I'm a big J. Cole fan.
All right. Last question, and finally, best food spot in DC, since you're downtown DC. Best food
Best
spot.
food spot. It's funny. Unfortunately, like right around here in our arena and offices, there's so many businesses still closed or haven't come back, and whatnot. I used to love Taco Bamba, which was within walking distance here, but is no longer here. I'm trying to think what I like the most that's still near around here. It's a new place, and I'm just thinking again, my favorite lunch spots here because that's what I'm typically here to eat.
Yeah.
There's a new place, Farm Bird, not too far away.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of just new to me, and I definitely have been liking them so far. So I'll give them a shout out.
I'm sad to hear Taco Bama didn't make it back. That was the spot for me too.
I love Taco Bamba. I could go there a couple times a week, and so I know they have a couple other locations that I think are still open, but hoping they come back or in some way or form here in around the arena.
Yeah, but when I used to work in DC, my favorite, this is a while ago, my favorite go-to spot was Taylor Gourmet. They were a sandwich spot. And because it reminded me back home, I'm from Pennsylvania, so they had the nice hoagies and the selection there, and they were like originally from Philadelphia, so I was just tied to Taylor Gourmet. That was my go-to pregame.
You from Philly?
I am from outside of Philly, so Reading, Pennsylvania is about like 40 minutes away from Philadelphia. So that was the go-to spot before a game, go-to spot for lunch. That was the spot for me.
Gotcha. My mom is from Philly, so I know the area well.
There we go, Philly connection. I like it.
Yeah.
Right. So let's dive a little bit deeper into your job here. You know, as the retail director for the Wizards, the Capitals, and the Mystics. How are you able to engage the fans' shopping trends for 3 different teams, 3 different personalities? How do you kind of go about picking out the right gear, the right things that you need to have ready for the store?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, a lot of it I lean on, I'm basically an extension of the marketing departments for each of those teams. So I really rely on the rest of the department to really know and understand our fan base and kind of make sure what we're doing at retail aligns with what the team's doing from a marketing standpoint, because the team marketing generally knows the fan base and whatnot. And then the other thing I would say is just kind of being in the arena, following the fans and watching, the trends in person, being at the arena, seeing what people are wearing, what they're buying, and following the players on social and what they're wearing or what fans are replying and things like that. A lot of times we'll look at the team accounts and the players will be wearing something and people will reply and say, oh, I want that hood. So it's just kind of really listening, honestly, and listening and learning what the fans like, and then going back and really working internally with the team's marketing departments to understand what we have going on and how we can best connect with the fans.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Wizards fans compared to a Caps fan, polar opposites, right? In terms of trending there, correct?
For sure. I mean, I think obviously the team history and success and things of that nature play a factor, especially with the Caps coming off the cup a couple of seasons ago. But for sure, I mean, like you come to a Capitals game and we have this sort of, it was a joke brought up early in the season. Like we were like, I wonder what is the percentage of Capitals fans at the game who are not wearing a jersey, because literally everyone is here that have some type of sweat, Caps sweater or some type of merch on always. The entire crowd is red for the most part, and so it makes for a cool environment when it's a full house and everyone's kind of wearing the same gear and same color. It makes you feel part of the team. But then on the other side, and don't get me wrong, Wizards fans are very passionate as well, but they're a little more high fashion in some cases where they may want to wear the team logo, but it may not always want to be a red or blue. They may want to look for something more fashionable or more high end versus your basic logo t-shirt or hoodie or something like that. So definitely different fan bases, but it allows us to do a lot of different things and get creative from an apparel standpoint.
Yeah, I remember being at Wizards games. It's a fashion show for sure. People are there to be seen, especially when the Wizards weren't playing as well as they are now. It was the time.
Yeah, so now they're playing well and more eyes on everyone, more people, starting to show up. So it's definitely still a fashion show, and that's why we, if you look at the selection and the types of brands and the different collabs and things that we do on the different teams. They're very different in ways, but it's all about, connecting with those fans.
Yeah, definitely. Now going back to your experience here, you worked pretty much your entire career in the retail space, from models to being a retail manager with US Lacrosse.
Yep.
Was this always in your plans for being in the sports field? Were you always geared towards the retail side of it, or just talk a little bit about that for you?
Honestly, no. I mean, when I was in college and even high school before getting to college, like I always knew I wanted to work in sports and study sports. Part of my reasoning for choosing St. John's, and I also went to GW, which I'm repping today. But I studied sports management in undergrad and got my MBA at GW with a sports management focus. So I just always knew I wanted to work in sports. Early on in high school and early in college, I didn't know all of the different opportunities and spaces within sports, and it's obviously even grown more since then with the digital space the way it is now. But like I honestly just thought like I wanted to work for either a team or a brand. Like a night I always like wanted to work with Nike. Under Armour was big for me coming up, being from the Baltimore area. So I was.
You're a lacrosse player as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I was a lacrosse player as well. So like I always was like, if I can't work for a team, I want to work for a brand. Or my other option was, I was thinking, always thought I might get into being an agent, a player agent, but I ended up, I was like, I don't think I want to do the law school. So it was always either team or brand. But I didn't really know how. I just thought, sports marketing was kind of like the sort of buzzword, and just knew I wanted to get into that. And then, fresh out of college in undergrad, I had a couple internships with a couple brands, like Maverick Lacrosse was a
nice.
up and coming lacrosse brand at the time that actually sponsored us at St. John's, and I had an internship and worked with them the last couple of years, and then worked. But my first full-time job out of college was at Modell's. I just got hired. Honestly, I'd gotten hired as an assistant manager in the store. It was just a situation where I needed a job. I was fresh out of college, and this was an opportunity to work in sports retail. So there was still that like sports connection, even though it was retail. And I honestly had no retail experience at the time. But like I said, it was an opportunity. I needed a job. It was a salary in a sports retail position. I was like, let's do it. And honestly, before I really completed my training for the assistant manager position, I kind of just good timing and all those things, but there was a new position forming at Modell's community ambassador, which I think is kind of like, community marketing for, essentially a community marketing role for the store that I was able to get, like I said, within a month of starting there. And that's what really kind of kicked me off into the sports industry and sports retail, because at that position, I was more so marketing. I was really out in the field, meeting a lot of people in the community, but I was also getting the experience of working for a big box retailer and connecting with almost every department there, whether it was the buying team, advertising, customer service, or the operations team, the managers on the floor or on the ground. So like it really helped me understand the entire retail industry. And that's kind of where my knowledge started. And then, of course, like I said, I went back to school at the time. So I was working and studying sports management at the time. And that kind of kept me on this path.
Yeah. Okay. So what advice would you give someone who loves fashion, also loves sports, and kind of wants to pursue a similar career role the way you have, of being with like on the team side and being able to influence the retail side for the team?
If they're passionate about it, just try to learn and grasp as much as you can. But I think, to me, I've always kind of stressed like relationships are important, networking and building relationships with people that are already in the industry, that maybe are in positions or at companies where you aspire to be. Try to reach out and connect with those people and network. And one of the ways that I advise people to network is like try to be of service to these, don't always just reach out asking for things. I know you want to get advice or, ask for jobs and things like that, but try to connect and be of service to those, those people. Can you help them with a project? Can you volunteer to learn more and do some things like that, as opposed to always asking for something for you, see how you may be able to contribute. That's a way to kind of get your foot in the door. And I think people will remember when you're able to, usually people remember when you can help them out. So if you can be of service to someone that you're trying to, have as a mentor or learn from, I think that is a big, big way to form that relationship.
Yeah, and speaking of mentor, actually, did you have a mentor, like maybe in your career, that helped you kind of guide you through the retail space, or just in general the sports management space?
I've had a couple. I think even maybe not early on. I've always considered a lot of my coaches and whatnot as mentors growing up and as an athlete. And then once I started working, I've thankfully had some good supervisors that I really felt that I've learned from and kind of stayed under their wing, and
Yeah.
both former supervisors as well as my current, but I've had a couple of former supervisors that I consider mentors, as well as former professors especially from GW. I've had 3 different sports, professors that I really connected with during my time at school. And to this day, I'm still able to, still keep in touch and still able to kind of bounce ideas or questions and things like that off of them whenever something may come up. So I think those have been probably some of my biggest mentors were some of my former professors.
Yeah, and I go back to even myself a little bit. Former supervisors, I always was able to take at least one thing I learned from them, even if I, didn't really agree with everything that they've done.
Yep.
You just find one thing that they do well. It might be something as making time and scheduling meetings and how they went about doing that, and making sure us as an employee, as working under them, manage their schedule well. So even something as little as that, that's always something I've always done with former supervisors and current supervisors. It's like, what do I think they did well as a supervisor, as opposed to, I ain't like them because this, that, and the other, but they're good. They're good at what did they do well?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I definitely feel like you can take things away from all of your supervisors, and even I definitely feel like I learn from what I learn a lot from what not to do from people. You know what I mean? If there are things that I don't like or I feel were wrong or what have you, I really feel like I try to learn from those things just as much as I learn from the things that I like and aspire to do.
Yeah, definitely. Now you talked a little bit about working with different departments internally. How do you go about that, dealing with the many different departments and their roles, from a season ticket perspective or a ticket membership perspective, from partnerships, from marketing as the role that you're in, and even from, I would assume, probably even the ops side of things there. So how do you kind of manage those different relationships there?
It's a challenge for sure. And honestly, I look back in my career and I feel like I've been in similar roles at all 3 of the stops you mentioned, Models, US Cross, and here, where I've definitely had to work cross-functionally with a lot of different departments. I think you really need to understand and prioritize your business, I think, and what things mean the most to your business. I look at retail as a business, right? So I have to definitely prioritize and have a business mind and know what things come first and what things are the priority. But you also try to, like I said, you try to work with everyone and make people happen, make things happen. But I think one of the biggest things and ways to manage that is just communication, and open communication, good communication. I think in retail, one thing that a lot of people not in retail don't understand is the amount of planning and lead times and things you need. So, I really try to do my best to, because I'm working with so many different people, just to try to over communicate as much as possible. And, those some cases where you have to, under promise, over deliver and things like that. It's just, I think that's a big part of for me, for retail is just communication and kind of making people aware and understand the challenges that we face in order to accommodate your needs or what have you.
Yeah. Has there been a time where a certain department or person in a department was just not understanding the lead up time, or just things that run differently in your department there?
Yeah, for sure. It happens all the time. We get a lot of last minute requests that we try to jump, we do our best to jump through hoops to make happen. But in some cases, we aren't able to do it and it's out of our control. I mean, we will get requests from ownership level and let alone partnerships and whatnot. And sometimes there are things that just aren't doable. And I think right now, actually today in these times, with coming out of COVID and the pandemic and the state of the supply chain world and just our industry in general, there are a lot of issues we're dealing with. And, you know, we're coming off of yesterday was the launch of our City Edition, the retail launch. I know that they were unveiled at the beginning of the month, but yesterday was the first game that we could sell City Edition jerseys and apparel. And we were facing a lot of challenges, and we are dealing with a lot of delays in terms of our inventory and not having the amount of jerseys or variety of jerseys and apparel that we should have. And, you know, not everyone is understanding of that, especially, you know, even fans. You know, it's hard to tell consumers that, you know, we don't have the jersey you want because of supply chain issues. You know, they don't really want to hear, they don't understand it. And you also, as from our position, we can't, you know, you can't also go out and just blame everything on the Nikes, Fanatics, or, you know, the Fanatics or whoever they are. You know, they're our partners as well. And some of the issues are out of their control as well. You know what I mean? So it's just trying to get people to understand and really, you know, we're really feeling the impacts of the global pandemic and supply chain issues. And I think the more we talk to people, the more understanding they are.
No, yeah, definitely. I can sympathize with that where I'm currently working. So I understand completely.
You know.
Yes, definitely. Now going back to just selecting items for store and the teams and things of that nature. What has been your favorite item to date so far? And it doesn't have to be each team, but maybe the Wizards, the Mystics, that you loved, but the fans were not feeling as much.
Ooh, that's a good question. You know, it's always interesting when you're dealing with jerseys and players with player movement and things like that. I almost want to give you an example of the opposite of like things that we didn't think were going to.
Yeah, go that way.
Like I'll tell you, like just because it's top of mind, but like you know, we order jerseys so far in advance, you know, especially when it comes to like, for example, the City Edition where it's a 1-year program and things like that. But even regular jerseys, you have to order well in advance to have in season. And I'll say, like, you know, when it came to this season with having so many new players on the Wizards, we're like, who's going to be that next guy after Beal and Rui, who we knew sold well for us in his first 2 years, bringing that international fan base in. But, you know, we're like, who's going to be that next out of all the new guys? Who are going to be the next players that people, you know, want? And we kind of expected Kuzma, who's very popular on social media. And of course, Dinwiddie is one of our better players. But man, we did not expect Montrezl Harrell to be this popular going back in August and September based on the roster. I mean, I think we thought he'd be a solid player and a 6-man candidate and all those things. But the way the fans have really gravitated towards him, I mean, his gear and jerseys are in very high demand, and we just honestly weren't expecting that. You know what I mean? Like we thought he'd sell, but not at the level he is. But he's also, I guess, if you look at, you know, sort of like league rankings and MVP votes and things like that, I guess he's playing at a higher level than many people expected as well. Maybe not him, but I definitely think that was one that kind of surprised us from our end is his popularity.
And now getting kind of towards the end of our convo here, at the Connect, we always kind of like to, every meeting or what have you, we always like to talk about our peaks and valleys, essentially. So what's been the peak of your career so far, and what's been like a valley, would you kind of say, in your career?
That is a good question. I feel like I've had some peaks at each stop, honestly. And then valleys. I mean, I think when it comes to retail in general, it's very seasonal and cyclical. You know, there are things that happen at the same time every year, and then there are definitely down times where there's not a lot going on. So especially, you know, the good thing with me though in this position, because we have the Mystics, in addition to Wizards and Caps, we're essentially year round. You know, as
Yeah.
soon as the Caps and Wizards seasons are done, the Mystics is starting. So it kind of keeps us busy, but there are some lulls in the schedule where we don't have things for weeks or you know, in some cases a month at a time, like with Olympic breaks and things like that. And I think those dead periods can definitely be valleys in general for the business when there's not a lot going on. But there have definitely been some peaks as well. And just an example of a peak recently here at Monumental, you know, in my role, like Fanatics, I really manage that relationship with Fanatics. You know, they're our partner, they're the operator, they handle everything on the ground. But we did a very big garage sale over the summer. I'm not sure if you heard about that, but like,
I know about them.
Right. Coming out of the pandemic where we lost a lot of events that, you know, we had planned giveaways and things like that for, we just went through all of our warehouses and we're like cleaning out and kind of getting rid of their old. And we put on this huge garage sale over the course of a week and got rid of just a ton of old giveaways and marketing, you know, buys and things that we had laying around the offices. And it raised, you know, almost $100 grand, pretty much $100 grand for our foundation here. And that's saying something because everything, I mean, I don't think we had anything priced over $20-$30. So, you know, to reach that amount, that value, it shows you the volume we did because everything was priced so lowly. But it was a big project coordinating with, again, like 3 or 4 teams and departments and multiple warehouses and buildings, and just getting everything here was a process, but it actually, it worked. And not only that, we in addition to the garage sale itself, we were able to kind of launch, kind of I would say with my direction, like launch a new, basically with Shopify, you started using that for our foundation, and it's, you know, launching a new POS system and in the process of a new website for the foundation. And so I feel like leading that project was definitely one of the peaks more recently in my career here.
Yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. And congratulations on that.
Thank you. It was fun. It was a big project.
I'm sure. I remember that was probably one of my favorite times of the year. Not like the garage sale, like in detail, like you guys just did, but like after the season, the Wiz Cap season, you guys had leftover inventory and would go on sale. That was when I was hitting up stuff for my parents, my family.
Yeah, you did some early Christmas shop. I mean, I still have some things that I've just set to the side waiting for the Christmas season. So it would be a lot of Wizards gifts under the tree.
Yeah, it was definitely, there's always something from this team store that was met under the tree from someone, for someone, I should say. Like, sure. I think I got my brother's fiance a Wizards t-shirt. Mind you, she has never been to a Wizards game. Like, so it's all fun. And I was just like, yep, you're going to get this t-shirt. So when you do come down to the game, you and my brother can wear it. Exactly. Right. And finally, last question of the day, maybe the most important question in my eyes, we always like to ask and end our conversations on. We call it the shit you wish you would have knew. So essentially that may be like advice or something you learn now, but you wish as your younger self, or even someone you would love to kind of pass that information on that you know now, but you wish you knew it back then. So what would that be for you?
And I say I wish I knew back then. Like I feel like I learned a lot, and you know, I'm not like comparing schools or program, but you know, grad school is just such a different level than undergrad, and I feel like I learned a lot coming out of grad school. And like right when I finished grad school, I had got a new position, and with a new supervisor who I mentioned was, you know, one of my mentors, and I feel like in that period I learned a lot about, I know I already touched on it, but just about relationships and networking and how to, you know, form good relationships and talk to people. So I mean, I'm very big on relationships, like, so I always feel like that is something I wish I knew a little earlier in undergrad and as I was first coming out of school, of how to like not only form and build those relationships, but then also how to use the relationships that you do have for your benefit, or, you know, to move on or to get the things that you are looking for. You know, it's establishing and building relationships, but then also like understanding how to use them and how your relationships are valued.
Yeah, no, that's actually mine. Something I wish I would have knew in college as well. So and I'm
Yeah.
still, still navigating that field and how to build upon relationships and making sure it's not just reaching out and asking always for something from someone else. So that's something I think you always continuously learn as you grow, as your career and your personal life as well. So that's definitely a good one there. It was something I wish I would have known as well. So I love it.
For sure, for sure. I again, that's big thing for me, and I see you value it as well, and it can take you, long ways. So,
Yes, definitely.
relationships, who you know, and all those things are important.
Definitely, yes. Well, thank you for your time, Jamal. I truly appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today.